Azure Data Studio can't drop a database. It can't create a database. It can't detach one. We can't look at server properties. We can't look at database properties. Guess what? We can with release 1.46 of Azure Data Studio. We're going to look at that on today's Tales from the Field.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
If this is your first time finding us on Tales from the Field, give us a like and give us a subscribe. Folks, we're moving into the fall season. Those leaves are going to start gently falling from the trees. But I can tell you something. That's the opposite of what our subscriber count is doing. It's continually going up, and we are truly appreciative for that. If you're new to the channel and you like the content you're seeing, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us create the video content for you, the viewer. We have this thing on Tuesday we call the Roundtable, where we share with you blogs, videos, and posts from the Azure Data community for you, the Azure Data community. We also drop on Mondays and Wednesdays MS Tech Bits. You're watching one of those now. Let's get over to it. I recently came across this exciting post on social media by Erin Stellato that we have released version 1.46 for Azure Data Studio. In Erin's blog, she covers things on how we use the preview features, some of the new enhancements we've made to Azure Data Studio, and some of the important stability fixes we've made to Azure Data Studio. I recommend you definitely go out and read this blog. It'll be in the description of the video. Okay, switching over now, let's look at the official release notes. There are some things I want to focus on here for this particular demo. I'm not going to cover all of these, but there's a couple that really excited me. For example, now we can view database properties and server properties within Azure Data Studio. I'm also going to be covering some things I missed in release 1.45. Also, a special call out. SQL database projects went GA, and you can see here in 1.46 we have some new connectors. The one I'm most excited is the Data Warehouse and Microsoft Fabric connector. I recommend you go out here and read the remainder of the release notes. There's some really important bug and stability fixes that our team has worked hard to eliminate from Azure Data Studio, improving the overall experience for us. Let's switch over to Azure Data Studio to see some of these new preview features in action. All right, I have my SQL Server instance on an Azure VM. This could also be on premises. We have a managed instance deployed as well. We're going to use both of these environments to demo these new preview features. We need to go over to settings. I went in there through Control Comma, use whatever hotkey or however you get into settings. We need to ensure that enable preview features is checked. So you can see here on my environment, I already have this checked. If you're not seeing these preview features, go in here and make sure you have that selected. All right, let's go over to our SQL Server instance. Let's right mouse click on databases, and we're going to go to new database. We're going to select that. It's in preview. We're going to type in a name here, September, July release, we'll call it. We'll make the owner SA, and you can see here we have our normal options that we have when we deploy a database. Let's go down here. Let's hit create. All right, once we hit create, look at that. We've created September, July release database using Azure Data Studio. Let's go to managed instance. Let's go to new database. Once again in preview, we're going to create a September, July release again. We're going to give it an owner of SA. And then you can see there we have the options for our database. Let's go down here and we're going to script this one. We're going to cancel here. We're going to go up to our script. Up on the top of Azure Data Studio, we're going to hit run and look at that. September, July release database has been created. All right, let's keep this going. We're going to go to our database now and we're going to go to Detach. We right mouse clicked on our database. Let's select Detached, which is in preview. You can see here we've got some detached options we can check. We're going to select drop our connections, and we're going to go ahead and select Detach. Remember, don't drop connections if you're in production or you're really sure that you want to do that. You can see here that our database no longer appears. Let's go here now and let's attach that database. Once again, a new preview feature released in 1.45. We're going to go to add. We're going to go to the selection screen here, and you can see here we have our MDF for our September, July release database. We're going to leave these options as is. You could change them if you wanted to within your environment, but we're going to go down here and we're going to go to attach. Over back in our databases, we've attached September, July release using Azure Data Studio. Now let's go to our instance. Right mouse click, select properties in preview. This is one of the ones I'm most excited about. Look at this. We get our server properties here on the right hand side in this pane. We get our general, we get our memory properties, we get our processor information, we get our security information. What security have we set up on our instance? We get our database settings. Look, these are just what we would see in SSMS, but here in Azure Data Studio. And we want to make sure we scroll to the right because we get our advanced properties. Let's look down here. Oops, some of my favorites: max degree of parallelism, cost threshold of parallelism, some things that you want to look at, maybe even change or edit. Okay, let's go to our database. Right mouse click and let's hit properties here. All right, look at this. Look at this. We get our database properties. We have our general properties. We get our file information. We could add, edit, remove within Azure Data Studio. We can go up here. We can go to file groups. We now can add file groups. Say we wanted to move things off of default, we could add a new file group there. We can go to our database options. Look at that collation, our recovery model. And if we scroll down, we can see more things like the state of our database, if encryption is enabled, what restricted access level we're at. Right now, we're at multi-user. Let's go over to database scope. These are the database scope configurations that you could set at your database. But most importantly, scroll to the right. This is one of my favorite ones. We can see our query store parameters here in Azure Data Studio. All right, let's go to our managed instance. I want to just show that we can go to properties preview and managed instance. It's going to look the same. I'm not going to go into each and every one, but you can see we have general, memory, processes, security, database settings, and advanced options. Look at that. It's all there. We can also go to our database in our managed instance. We can select properties, which is in preview. Remember, all these are in preview. And if we go up here, we can see our database properties. And once again, we have our general, we have our options, our database scope configurations, and most importantly, that cool old query store. Being good stewards of our environment, we're going to go ahead and we're going to drop this database. We can right mouse click and choose drop, but I'm going to choose the trash can instead because that looks really fun. Once I hit the trash can, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to select close existing connections. I'm going to go ahead and hit script. Once I hit script, I'm going to hit cancel. You can see here it's going to open a window with some T-SQL. I'm going to go ahead and run that. It's going to close our connections, and it's going to drop the database. And recall, we did all of this by using preview features in release 1.46 and 1.45 in Azure Data Studio. Okay, quick call to action from Tales from the Field team and RPGs. These items are in preview, so our team is still hard at work behind the scenes, making improvements, tweaking things, ensuring that all of this is stable for us to use within our environments. If you run into anything, the call to action is to please open up an issue. As a matter of fact, I opened up one today for one of these preview features. So you can see here, you can file a bug report. You can make a feature request. If there's something in there that you're not seeing and you want to see, put in a feature request. And most importantly, if you see a security vulnerability, issue that bug right away. All right, I warned you ahead of time. I was excited about some of these new features. All right, via a social media post by Aaron Stellato, we learned that Azure Data Studio released version 1.46. In that blog post by Aaron Stellato, we also found out about some additional features that were added in 1.45. We went and we looked at both of those. We went through some of the release notes. I recommend you read through the blog post as well as those release notes. Also, we gave you a call to action. That call to action, if you see an issue, if you experience an issue with some of these preview features, these things are still being worked on behind the scenes. Issue that bug. We can't fix things, folks, if we don't know that it's broken. So please heed to that call of action. And as always, be good to each other.
Some concentration, and if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day.